So you don't want to come to me. You don't want to come to me. You don't want my card. You don't want my number. No, don't, because I know what's going to happen. As soon as I give my card, you're like, oh. So as you grow in the profession, you realize you are the heaviest weight. And that is because of the advanced diseases that we treat. One question I have for you, Paresh. So in the US now, you have the capsule endoscopy, and things have become very simple or in a conflicted way, because still both invasive and non-invasive procedures happen. Why is that so? And because India is really so slow on screening colonoscopies. And I can say that because I have family in audience, and I have my parents who have still not undergone colonoscopy. So no matter what and how I try to convince them, no one really is keen on doing. So would you think that in India a capsule endoscopy would sell more, would be more appreciated and accepted?
I guess so. Capsule endoscopy is just for the non-medicals here. It's basically a capsule with a camera inside. You pop a pill and then you are at work, at home, completely non-invasive. It is being done here in HN. We do it frequently. Again, to use it as a screening tool, it's still too naive because the sensitivity of it to catch up a polyp or stuff is not as good as compared to a colonoscopy. It's good to view, the capsule is good to view the small bowel. The view within the colon is really relatively much hampered because there's a lot of stools there. So we don't really have a lesser invasive screening tool yet, but capsule is done here, but as a screening is still naive to be used for the colon. For small bowel it does work, but not for the colon because there's a lot of stools present which obstruct the view.
Thank you. So, I'm looking at that blood test.
Exactly, that's the thing which is coming up. So hopefully that will break the ice, and definitely once that gets really well accepted, we should be able to use it as a non-invasive tool for screening.
Fantastic. So there are people who sit on different kinds of symptoms. That's the message that we need to give to our patients. 2 weeks of any symptom, we need to get to the doctor for screening, and you have to think cancer. You have to think cancer. And that's how the orientation has to change. Thank you. Male and female still is in the hit list. And when I came back to India 6 years ago, I had a lady cook. And I could see all the time that one of her cheeks was always bulging. That's when I understood that she was chewing tobacco. And I would run after her and tell her, Lakshmi di, usko nikal do. Lakshmi di, usko nikal do. Because of how we have learnt this science. And head and neck, I later realized, is very much an Indian disease. When we talk about head and neck cancers, a lot of cancers happen in the pharynx, larynx. Largely, 90% of the time, I end up seeing oral cavity cancers. Those are the cancers that are very big, tough to treat, and the ones that make it to us as medical oncologists from the surgeons. And it was a slow realization that it was chewing tobacco that was prevalent at such high frequency levels in all our households. And I am always constantly running after the staff to see who is chewing. That may be my driver, that may be the guard, the doorman. It's always been a fight because you're trying to prevent. And anything, whatever we say for this, for the chewing tobacco, for the smoking or any other kind of tobacco utilization is less. And I think today, if we were to really think of one carcinogen amongst all, for different malignancies that we deal with, it would be tobacco. Some of us actually are not familiar that low-dose CT scan for chest screening, yearly chest screening, is now a routine. It is now approved as a screening measure for all males who have had history of smoking or are current smokers. So you have to put that as a screening SOP and do yearly chest low-dose CT scans for those at risk. So the one thing, you let me know if we have the guest. So the one thing that we realized very recently, 50% of all, so we have in lung cancers, we have large adenocarcinoma representation, and 50% of all adenocarcinomas are actually non-smoking related. So in a very recent big presentation at European Society of Medical Oncology, we learned that 45,000 patients were followed, people were followed, and epidemiologically speaking, EGFR positive, so a driver mutation positive lung cancer that is seen in 25 to 30% of all adenocarcinomas of lung are as a result of environmental pollution. So pollutants, dust particles above 2.5 micron in size, which would be the thick smog that we read about in a lot of Indian cities, including now in Mumbai, was found to be directly related to cancer causation, and that's why in Asians we see a large predilection of non-smoking related lung cancer. So I think when we look at the SOP of prevention and we look at only high risk lung cancer, high risk and chest CT only for people who were smokers, I think we are going to miss out the Asian male and females who are at risk for lung cancer because of the smog. So that is where I said precision and personalization needs to come in even in prevention. The old guidelines may still be very, very old. So we need to understand what kind of prevention needs to happen in which area. Let's say, so I come from the Eastern India, and if you look at the Eastern India belt, you have very high predilection of gallbladder cancer and bile duct cancer. Why is that? What is the carcinogen? Epidemiological studies need to happen there, and we need to understand how to screen for those patients. So in that, actually, one solution appears very simple. It's wishful, but I hope that will happen very, very quickly, and that is a blood test based cancer diagnosis. Because when you do a blood test, just like a cell phone, and how we have today the geo going in the entire India, and a small time farmer could be having a phone with a connection and could talk to someone in the US. Similarly, if there is a blood test that could be picked up from very, very small collection centers, you could still be able to answer a lot of screening questions. And the world has already moved in this direction. US has launched multiple tests. One test is called GRAIL, by a company called GRAIL. The test is called Gallery. The test is 40% sensitive, so 60% of the times you're not catching the disease, but it is now a commercially available test in the US with which they can pick up a whole host of malignancies. 70 malignancies can be picked up just by a blood test. That's a US-based test. A test by our own Indian homegrown company called Datar Genomics is now available in UK as a test called TruthCheck. And we have it in India with a test called EasyCheck 360. All these tests are looking at, so they have very high sensitivity rates. They have above 90% sensitivity of 70 epithelial tumors. So what they cannot catch is blood cancers. Non-epithelial tumors, they will not be able to catch. But as long as we know that, and then we involve with that in screening, just now they had a third breakthrough for glial malignancies that couldn't be biopsied. It was very high sensitivity to pick up these cancers in blood. So I think novel methods of prevention need to come through that are scalable and that can look at many, many malignancies in totality and not just one cancer or two cancers. Having said that, these tests are going to evolve, they're going to become available down the line. For now, what we have is these standard screening measures, and what we need to really do is actually stand up, raise awareness in the masses so that the people are going to ask, where is my test? I think the awareness message should be so loud and clear that the people have to come up and ask, where is my test? What test do I need to get? And this question has to come from the consumer. That's when we'll really be able to deliver. Right now, it is from us, and we are recommending, and we are saying every year you have to get this test, get that test. And that's where literally for healthy people, they don't think they can get cancer. But the real statistics, even from Globocam 2023, is very stark. 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will be touched by cancer in their lifetime. This is recent data. And if it is that big an epidemic, we better come up with arms and wage the war ASAP.